Assalamualaikum everyone, I am Shehwar Zara and I hope you all are fine and safe. Today our topic of discussion is microarray of gene technology. So before we start our today's topic, let's take a brief overview of the things that we have discussed in our previous lecture. So in our last lecture we discussed about the DNA libraries and we discussed the genomic DNA library and the complementary DNA library. Only one thing was left and that were your applications of both these libraries. So in today's lecture, first we will discuss those applications and later on we will move towards our main topic. So starting off with the genomic DNA library, let's see its applications. As you know that the society, it has been facing the problem of crop failures, pathogenic outbreaks and famine for a long period of time, and these problems are quite serious for any society. So in order to overcome these problems, what we have to do is that we have to understand the organism's genome. And why we have to understand the organism's genome? Because it will provide the genetic tools that are needed to solve these complex problems in a shorter time and with less effort. So to study an organism genome efficiently, what we can do is that we can partition it into permanent and stable collection of DNA fragments, and this permanent and stable collection of DNA fragments, they are called as a library, or more specifically genomic library. And such libraries, they basically provide convenient access to a genome for both laboratory and the breeding applications. And this genomic library, they can be used as substrate to physically map and sequence entire genomes, number one. Number two, they can be used to clone agriculturally important genes and to investigate gene expression patterns. Furthermore, genomic libraries, they are also provide the powerful tools and resources for evaluating germplasm, conservation stocks and biological diversity. So these were some of the applications of the genomic DNA libraries. Now let's see the applications of complementary DNA library. So the first application is that this complementary DNA library, it is used to study expression of messenger RNA. Second is this complementary DNA library, it is used to isolate specific complementary DNA. The third is that this complementary DNA library, it is also used to isolate the homologous genes. Then this complementary DNA of proteins, it can facilitate to generate antibodies and monoclonal antibodies. Moreover, it is also helpful in expressing eukaryotic genes in prokaryotes, and these genes helps in the transcription process of prokaryotes. And lastly, this complementary DNA library, it is also useful for isolating genes that codes for particular messenger RNA. And moreover, they are also useful, other applications we discuss is that they are also useful in reverse genetics, where the additional genomic information is of less use. And they are also important because they can be readily expressed in the prokaryotic organisms. So these were the applications of the genomic DNA libraries and the complementary DNA libraries. Now let's start our topic, that is microarray of gene technology. So once the human genome sequence, it was completed in 2001, it basically paved the way for many experiments and researches, and one such area was identifying the regions of DNA which control normal and disease states. Then you have functional genomics. Functional genomics is basically the study of gene function through parallel expression measurements of a genome. And the most common tools that are used to carry out these measurements, they include complementary DNA microarrays, number one. Number two, oligonucleotide microarrays, and number three, serial analysis of gene expression, that is your SAGE. Microarray analysis, it can be divided into two main steps. Number one is prop production and number two is target complementary DNA, that is targets your complementary DNA and its production. Specific sequences, what happens in this process is that specific sequences, they are immobilized to the surface and they are reacted with the labeled complementary DNA targets. A signal resulting from hybridization of the labeled target with the specific immobilized probe, what is do is that identifies which RNAs are present in the unknown target sample. So this is how the microarray analysis it is carried out. Now let's see some of the applications of this microarray analysis. So this microarray it is basically useful in diagnosis of infections, oral lions, and temporomandibular dysfunction (TMD). So what is this temporomandibular dysfunction? It is basically a syndrome, and what happens in this syndrome is that pain, a person who is suffering from the syndrome, it suffers from severe pain. It has restricted, he or she has restricted jaw movement and joint noise, and other symptoms that are included are headache, neck pain, and trismus. So what we were discussing is that basically in future scientists, or you can say dentists, they may use the inexpensive tools that are mostly your microarray analysis in order to you can say diagnose these diseases that we have discussed: infection, oral lions, and temporomandibular dysfunction, which is still not possible. The second thing is polymorphism. The small variation in DNA sequence, it basically leads to different characteristics such as skin color, facial features, or height, and this is known as polymorphism. And this polymorphism, it also can cause or contribute to the development of many syndromes and diseases. So these genetic variations, they can be easily identified by the microarray technique. So these were the two applications of this microarray technique or microarray analysis. Moreover, this microarray, it provides a basis to genotype thousands of different loci at a time, which is useful for association and linkage studies to isolate chromosomal regions related to a particular disease. And this microarray, it can also be used to locate chromosomal aberrations. And these chromosomal aberrations, they are basically related to cancer. So these chromosomal aberrations, they are related to cancer, such as segments of allelic imbalance, which can be identified by loss of heterozygosity. And by comparative genomic hybridization technique on genomic DNA, amplified or deleted regions in the chromosome, they can be identified, as in the case of the oral cancer. So this was some of the applications of the microarray analysis, or you can say the microarray technique. Now let's discuss that what is this gene microarray technology. This gene microarray technology, it basically rests on the ability to deposit many, that is your tens of thousands of different DNA sequences on a small surface, and this small surface is usually a glass slide, and this glass slide is commonly known as chip. The different DNA fragments, they are arranged in rows and columns such that the identity of each fragment is known through its location on the array. Two types of microarrays are gene expression microarray and the tissue microarray (TMA). So why this microarray technology it is important than other technologies? The reason is that the techniques like Northern blot and the reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction RT-PCR, it allowed testing for only a few genes per experiment. But microarray, or you can say a global expression profiling, it not only looks at orders of magnitude more gene than was possible previously, but it also has the advantage that the genes examined through this technique, they are not influenced by the pre-selection of the gene. So this is basically the advantage of using this microarray technique. Now let's discuss the microarray principle. As you know, the messenger RNA, it is an intermediary molecule which carries the genetic information from the cell nucleus to the cytoplasm for protein synthesis. So what happens is that whenever some genes are expressed or they are in their active state, many copies of messenger RNA corresponding to particular genes, they are produced by a process called as transcription. And transcription, you know very well that what it is, we have discussed in detail. These messenger RNA synthesize the corresponding protein by translation, and you know that this transcription and translation is basically the central dogma of the molecular biology. We have discussed this before. So indirectly, by assessing the various messenger RNAs, what we can do is that we can assess the genetic information or the gene expression, and by assessing this genetic information or the gene expression, how it helps is that it helps in the understanding of various processes that are behind every altered genetic expression. means it helps us understanding that what is the cause of the alteration in the genetic expression. Thus messenger RNA, it actually acts as a surrogate marker, and since messenger RNA is degraded easily, it is necessary to convert it to more stable complementary DNA form. So this is the reason that why we convert this messenger RNA into complementary DNA, because the complementary DNA form is quite more stable than messenger RNA. Labeling of complementary DNA, it is done by fluorochrome dyes, that is CY3, and the CY3 is green in color, and CY5 it is basically red dye. And the principle behind microarray is that complementary sequences will bind to each other. So this is basically the principle of this microarray technique, that the complementary sequences, what they do is that they will bind to each other. Now let's see the steps that how we do is that firstly the unknown DNA molecule, they are cut into fragments by distinction endonucleases, and this distinction endonucleases, you know that they are commonly referred as molecular scissors. Then fluorescent markers, they are attached to these DNA fragments which you have got after cutting it with distinction endonucleases. These are then allowed to react with probes of DNA chip. Probe, we have discussed that what probe in molecular biology means. It is basically a fragment of DNA or RNA of variable length, and that can be radioactively or fluorescently labeled. So this is what probe means. After that, what happens is that the target DNA fragments along with their complementary sequences, they bind to the DNA probes. The remaining DNA fragments, they are washed away, and the target DNA pieces, they can be identified by the fluorescence emission by passing a laser beam. So when they will emit the fluorescence, you can identify this. Then a computer is basically used to record the pattern of the fluorescence emission and DNA identification, and this technique of employing DNA chips, it is very rapid. The reason of using it is that because it is rapid, moreover it is sensitive and specific for the identification of several DNA fragments simultaneously, means you can identify several DNA fragments at the same time, and this is one of the biggest advantage of this technique. Here one point I would like to mention is that the study of the expression of most, if you say not all the genes in a specimen, it is not basically hypothesis driven, as it is the case in most of the studies that are used to be, but instead here it is referred to as discovery type research. So if we take the example of the complementary DNA that is derived from the tumor, it is hybridized to the chip to study gene expression levels. Then alteration in DNA copy number, it can be measured by hybridizing the fluorescently labeled DNA from a tumor specimen to these chips. Hybridizing means attaching basically, and these TMA, they are basically constructed by transferring codes of paraffin embedded tissue to pre-code holes in a recipient paraffin block, and over 500 codes can be placed in a single block by this technique. So this is how the complementary DNA is derived from the tumor, and it is hybridized to the chip in order to study the gene expression level. So you can see that this is basically the discovery type research. After that, what we do is that sections that are cut from TMA blocks, they can be used for immunohistochemistry or in situ hybridization studies. So what is this immunohistochemistry? Immunohistochemistry is basically the most common application of immunostaining, and it involves the process of selectively identifying antigens, that is your proteins, and these antigens, you know, they are present in the cell of a tissue section. And how we do is that we select them by exploiting the principle of antibodies binding specifically to the antigen in biological tissue. So this is basically the underlying principle of this immunohistochemistry. Now let's see what is the you can say the similarities between the TMAs and the microarrays. So the TMAs, they are similar to gene expression microarrays because in them the samples, they are arrayed in rows and columns on a glass slide. But here the difference is that each element on the TMA slide, it basically corresponds to the single patient sample, allowing multiple patient samples to be assessed for a single molecular marker in one experiment. While in gene expression arrays, The advantage of the gene expression arrays is that it allows assessment of thousands of molecular markers on a single patient sample per experiment. So this is what is the difference between the TMA and the molecular marker. You can say the gene expression array. One thing I will mention here that we have been discussing this TMA. This TMA is basically the abbreviation of thrombotic microangiopathy, and this thrombotic microangiopathy is basically a pathology that results in thrombosis in capillaries and arterioles. And why it happens is that it is due to an endothelial injury, and it may be seen in association with thrombocytopenia, anemia, purpura, and kidney failure. So this is the thrombotic microangiopathy syndrome. Here I have used the term thrombosis in the capillaries. So what is thrombosis? Thrombosis is basically the formation of blood clot, and this blood clot is known as thrombus, that is produced, or you can say formed within the blood vessel. And what this clot do is that it prevents blood from flowing normally through the circulatory system. Here you can see the diagrammatic representation of the entire process that we have discussed in our previous slides. This is also the diagrammatic representation, and you can see that first we have to make the complementary DNA reverse transcript, and then we have to label this complementary DNAs with the fluorescent dyes, and you have two experiments, control and experimental. And after that, what you do is that you hybridize this to the microarray, and then the laser is used, dyes are used, and after the laser emission you can on the computer you can see the pattern. So this is basically the principle of complementary DNA microarray assay for the gene expression that we have discussed. Now let's discuss the application of this microarray technology. So the first application is in the cancer. So as you know, that tumor formation, it involves simultaneous changes in hundreds of cells and variations in genes. And microarray, what it can do is that it can be boon to researchers, as it provides a platform for simultaneous testing of a large sets of genetic samples. And we have discussed it in the while studying the difference between the TMA and this microarray technology or technique. This microarray technique, it helps especially in the identification of single nucleotide polymorphism too we have discussed, and mutations, classification of tumors, identification of target genes of tumor suppressors, identification of cancer biomarkers, and identification of genes that are associated with chemo resistance and drug discovery. For example, let's take an example here that we can compare the different patterns of gene expression level between a group of cancer patients and a group of normal patients. And after comparison, we can identify the gene associated with a particular cancer. So this is how you determine you determine the gene expression, and you basically diagnose the disease. Moreover, this gene microarray, they have been used for comparative genomic hybridization, and in this technique, genomic DNA, it is fluorescently labeled, and then it is used to determine the presence of gene loss or amplification. Amplification means the doubling you can say. And array-based comparative genomic hybridization, including they have been used to map the genetic abnormalities in a wide range of tumors. And this wide range of tumors basically include breast carcinoma, bladder carcinoma, fallopian tube carcinoma, gastric carcinoma, melanoma, and lymphoma. Gene expression data, it can identify groups of cases with significantly different outcomes where routine histopathologic examination does not permit subclassification. The conversion of non-invasive tumor to an invasive tumor, it also required research. So Clark et al., he studied and his groups basically studied the gene profile of melanoma cells, and which became metastatic, and what he found is that he found the RHOC gene to be expressed more in the metastatic cells than in non-metastatic melanoma cells. Here, melanoma, which I have been speaking the term, it is basically the type of skin cancer that develops from the pigment producing cells known as melanocytes, and they typically occur in the skin, but they mainly rarely occur in the mouth, intestines, or the eye. So this is the melanoma. So this microarray based expression profiling, it allows us to identify families of genes as well as the important molecular and cellular events that might be important in complex processes like metastasis. We have discussed it before. Practical applications in future of this technique, it includes diagnostic and prognostic management of patients. Moreover, clinicians they will be able to use microarrays during early clinical trials to confirm the mechanism of actions of drugs and to assess drug sensitivity and toxicity. And they can be used to develop a new molecular taxonomy of cancer, including clustering of cancers according to prognostic groups. On the basis of gene expression profile, areas that can be coupled with microarray technologies include classification of diseases or molecular phenotyping, number 1, the study of gene function in relation to gene regulatory networks, number 2, number 3, functional genomics, and number 4, pharmacogenomics and developmental biology. So this is basically the application of the microarray in the cancer, and you have seen that how microarray it can be used to identify the alterations, or you can say the aberrations that are taking place within the gene, and it is effective because a large number of the, you can say, large number of genes or large number of aberrations, they can be identified at a single moment. Now let's move to the next application, that is your antibiotic treatment. And increase in the number of distant bacteria and the superadded infections, what it has done is that it has led to the failure of antibiotics. So the virulence of the bacterial strains, it too affects the outcome of the disease process. For example, in oral cavity, where anaerobic bacteria, it might be infective agent. They often are not easily culturable, especially organisms such as Actinomyces. They are not easily cultured within the oral cavity. So this DNA microarray analysis, it helps at the bacterial genomic DNA, and it often outlines the viability of the bacteria, and the diagnosis can be made using a small amount of DNA as opposed to the large number of bacteria and that are needed for culture. So basically, as you have seen that here, you will just need a small amount of the what I mean to say is that you will need only a small amount of the DNA for the analysis, bacterial genomic DNA for the analysis, and as opposed to the large number of bacteria that are needed for the culture. And in future, what the scientist says that an abscess specimen, they might be sent not for culture and sensitivity testing but for DNA microarray analysis. So in that you can basically identify that the antibiotic treatment, this is how it is done. Your third application is the early detection of oral precancerous lesion, and leukoplakia of white lesions that are present in the oral cavity. They may result from the reversible conditions, a number of reversible conditions. Currently, microscopic examinations there fails to identify the small subset of these lesions, and because these lesions later on progress into the oral cancer, so they failed at understanding that how it happens. So identification of the gene expression profile, or you can say the genomic fingerprints, what it will do is that it will allow clinicians to differentiate harmless white lesions and from the precancerous lesions, means those lesions that will lead to cancer or from very early cancer. Recent studies, what they have illustrated is that the effectiveness of microarrays in oral cancer, it has been seen through the recent studies, and it is forecasted, or it is predicted that in future samples taken from the incisional biopsy or the brush biopsy, it may be sent to a laboratory for gene expression analysis, so the early diagnosis can be made. And this early diagnosis and management of oral cancer, it is basically correlated with increased survival, means that if the researchers and the clinicians, doctors will be able to identify this symptoms of the oral cancer, and you can say the expression of this will be able to diagnose this oral cancer early, so more it is quite evident that the chances of survival will be more. Moreover, identification and the treatment of pre-malignant and early cancer oral lesions, it is also predicted that they may become one of the most valuable services in the future with regard to this microarray analysis. So this was basically your entire the microarray technique, and how we have discussed that how this we have discussed the principle, we have discussed the technique, we have discussed the applications, and how with the passage of time this application is basically taking more stronghold in the field of research. So this was for today's lecture, and I hope you have understood what we have discussed so far, and if you want to study these things in more detail and in written form which we have discussed here, you can visit both these sites, and thank you for watching.